Hi, everybody. My name is Jemiah Evans Smirnoff, and I am doing my timeline by age. I chose to do my timeline by age because it's the best way for me to remember my history. Because I'm just like, oh, I remember when I was 5, this happened, or when I was 6. So that's why I'm using age. I'll start. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. I moved back and forth from Atlanta and Kansas, so I was raised in both places. Um, so on my first timeline, I have 5 years. I put 5 years because um, that's when I first had a memory of kind of like my first memory of just remembering anything that has happened. And during that time, I remember walking with my mom and kind of realizing that my mom is my mom. Like, because at the time I was living with my mom and my aunt, and so having both of them around, I didn't really distinguish the two from who was my mom and who was my aunt. I was just really close to both of them. And so something just clicked in me one day, just realizing that, okay, this is my mom, this is my aunt. And so that was one of my first memories, I would say, that really like held with me because I just remember just like, oh, this is this is my mom. So yeah, that's the first one I put. And then the second one I have is 7 years, and I put faith there. I put faith there because at a young age um I would say I was learning about my religion. My aunt was a minister, so she had us in church. She had us reading the Bible constantly, just all the time, and she wanted to teach us at a young age what our religion was about, what faith meant, why they chose to be Christians, and what it means to be a Christian and stuff like that. And at that age, it was really more like a moral thing. So I was learning about things like right and wrong. Like, you got to be a good person, you got to do good, you have to, just follow God's plan and stuff like that. And so I carry that on into my life now. And so I feel like that's a big part of me because I am still a very religious person. I am a Christian. And so I feel like that plays a role on me now from when I was a child. My next one is 8 years, and at 8 years I put different environment, and then I put understanding race and morality or not. So at that age, at 8 years old, I moved from Georgia to Kansas, and what was so different about the environment was that when I was in Kansas, I was seeing for the first time white people, I would say, or just a lot of white people, because in Georgia, predominantly what I was surrounded by was black people. The the schooling was predominantly black, and so when I went to Kansas, I was seeing a different race for the first time, and a lot of that race. And also what clicked about race was how there are people who think differently of my race and who feel a different way. I experienced this when I was 8 years old, and I went to the YMCA, and I was at the children's center in the YMCA, and we had these phone blocks. There was this other little girl who had her phone box, and I had mine, and she was building uh like a little playhouse, like a club. And she was inviting everyone in, and all the kids happened to be white. And I go up to her and I ask, may I come in? And she's just like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to talk to any black people. And so that was an experience where I didn't really understand what she meant. Like, why would you not allow to talk with someone who's black? I don't understand. So I talked with my cousin, because that's who I was with at the time, and he had to explain to me that some people are just different. Some people, you know, they don't know, they're not taught to be, not to treat people by their color and stuff like that. So he kind of like taught me about race in the most innocent way, I would say. And he just didn't want it to be heavy on my heart. And he was like, just as long as you don't, become that person that judge people because of that. And so that's where I think my morality or not kind of kicked in. It was like, do I become someone like this and show hatred back, or not? And so that was my 8 years different environment experience. Next, I have 9 years, and I have understanding family and diversity. So at that age, at 9, I remember learning about my mother through my grandmother and my great grandmother, because I just got to meet them for the first time, and I was getting really close with them while I was in Kansas, and they were telling me things about my mom, about my family, and it just brought me closer to them and also to my mom, because knowing those, knowing those histories about everyone, and um, kind of seeing where I come in in the picture, it was really fascinating and really interesting to hear about. And so it just drew me closer to my family. And that's one thing that I always remember, and it will hold that ha- shape me today, because I'm really close to my family now. Next one, I have 10 years, and I have economic background, financial status, and education. So at 10 years, I kind of realized my economic background. At that time, I moved back to Georgia actually, and I was living with my well, she's not my aunt, but she was a lady from my church. We called a lot of the elders from our church aunt or mom or stuff like that, just out of respect. So I was living with her, and I was going to school, and I wanted to be in this honor society group, but I had to pay $15 for it. So I asked my mother for the money, and she didn't have the money at the time. So I was kind of feeling upset, kind of hurting about it. But then a week later, she had the money and she gave it to me. But when I went to go turn the money in, it was the due date was it ended for the money. It was expired, so I couldn't be in the honor society, and so I was really upset about it, and I felt kind of bitter. And my aunt, well, the lady who was taking care of me, she told me, like right now your mom is having financial issues, and it just happens sometimes. It's not that she didn't want to give it to you, it's just that she didn't have it. And so I had to come to understand that. And she talked to me about, basically becoming successful. And she kept telling me, like, if you want to become successful, you have to educate yourself, you have to stay in school, you have to, you know, get a good job through your education, and get successful so you can have money to get the things you want and the things that you need. And so since then, I told myself, I'm going to continue education. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go to college. And so I feel like that was part of my drive of going to school, is to become successful, because I didn't want to be that person who didn't have. And so that was a big part of a big time of my life when I was 10 years old and learning about my economic background. All right, and then 13 through 15, I labeled this one Black in America. I labeled that because that was the time when Trayvon Martin was shot and killed in Florida, and it was really, I was living in Georgia. I was back in Georgia, and it was a really big issue that was happening in the South, and a lot of controversy about it. And my mom and my family, they like set me and my siblings down and talked to us. It was deeper than the conversation I had when I was 7, because when I was 7 it was about just people being different and stuff like that. But when I was 13 and or 15, I think it was, yeah, 13 to 15, that's how, because those are the years I think it was. I It was a deeper conversation. It was more about where I stand as a Black person living in the US. What are going to be some differences that I have to go through because of the color of my skin, which is unfortunate, but that's how it was. And till today, I sometimes find myself, let's say, going to the store and not wanting to like try on any of the clothes, because I'm afraid that people might see me as someone who's trying to steal or anything. So I still today, I don't even go to the store and try on clothes. I just get it, I buy it, and take it home. And if I can't fit it, I just bring it back, because I'm so like subconscious about people staring at me, following me, and watching me, and thinking that I'm gonna steal something or seeing me differently. Basically, my mom just told me there's things that you can and can't do, and those were some things like I just felt, kind of pushed back from doing, and from just being just free in society, because I was taught that there's things I couldn't do. And that kind of, those things like that kind of shaped me, just because my skin color, it was going to be difficult for me. That's basically what my mom and my family told me. And that, that's just how it is right now. And so that kind of, it kind of influenced how I think today and what I do today. My next one is 17 years, and I put to teach. So when I was 17 years old, I was a junior in high school, and I was helping a lot of students with their work. I wasn't technically a tutor. I wasn't like super smart kid, wasn't the best kid in school, but I just liked helping people. And so my teacher saw me doing that and she's like, "You're helping all the time, and I didn't know a lot, but what I did know, I wanted to help. And so she was like, "You help people a lot," and she was like, "You should really consider going into teaching." And so from that's when I decided that I actually do like this. I just like helping people. I like teaching people things that I know and to where they can learn. I just like the feeling of other people learning and getting the joy out of understanding what's going on. And so at 17, that's when I realized I wanted to teach, or I wanted to go a lines of like helping, whether it's, caseworking, teaching, like I just wanted to help in any way I could. And so that's when I realized, education, teaching is probably where um, what I wanted to go to school for, because I had no idea what I wanted to go to school for, but I knew I was going to go to school. My next one is 18 years. It's my last one. And under that, I have environmental and social initiative. I put that as my 18 because when I was 18 years old, I met a friend who was about his whole family was environmentalist, and I was really influenced by them and the things that I was learning from them, and it really like I knew things about the environment, but the way they presented it and the way that they cared not only for the environment but the people who lived in the environment and our earth and our world is just they presented it in a way that just it really captured my heart. And so instead of always talking about it at age of 18, I actually took initiatives to like start recycling, which was it was really hard for me because sometimes I'll forget, but it was an initiative that I took. I started recycling. I started using less just less um what is it uh plastic and things like that. And I just started doing better, trying to recycle literally everything. I would put things in sections, whether it's cans, where it's glass, whereas I would section it out. And it was funny because my mom was like, she was like, "Why is there trash everywhere in my house?" But I was just trying to make sure everything was just, in its order, rinsed out really good to where I can take it to the recycling place and that we didn't miss anything and we weren't just throwing away just random things that can be recycled. And so that was when I actually took the initiative. Also, not only with the environment, but with my surroundings and how um, how politics affect me. At the age of 18, I also I took the initiative to try to understand it more in my where I was living. So at age 18, it was actually the first year I got to vote, and so I had to do a lot of research. I had to talk to a lot of my friends about certain things because they were more knowledgeable about it, and so they helped me. And instead of just talking about it, I was going out and I was actually voting to make a change to make things better, and that was a really impactful time for me at the age of 18 because it was something, my vote was going to be something that was probably going to change, you know, United States. And so that was big time for me. And that is my timeline. Thank you guys.